I want you to vividly picture the quiet, suffocating terror of a Tuesday morning in a middle-class household. You are sitting at a cramped kitchen table, staring blankly at a cold cup of coffee. The house is silent. Suddenly, the digital screen of your cellular phone lights up.
Stop!
The caller identification simply says, unknown number.
What is that?
Instantly,
What is it?
a visceral wave of nausea washes
Get
over
away! Just
Your
stay
heart rate
back,
accelerates,
Stay back.
your chest tightens, and a cold sweat forms on the back of your neck. You know exactly who's calling. It is the third time they have called today, and it is only 9 in the morning. You let the phone vibrate against the wood table until the screen finally goes black. You do not answer, not because you do not want to pay your debts, but because you are paralyzed by a profound, agonizing sense of personal shame. You feel like a failure. You feel like a terrible provider for your family. You feel as though you have committed a devastating moral crime against society. Today, I am going to rip the curtain away from the most predatory, manipulative, and highly orchestrated psychological operation in the modern financial world. I am going to expose the dark machinery of the consumer credit scoring system and the ruthless underworld of third-party debt collection. From the moment you opened your first bank account, society has lied to you. They taught you that your credit score is a sacred measure of your financial health, and that falling behind on a payment is a reflection of your moral character. That is a fabricated illusion designed to keep you obedient. In this reality-shattering video, we will deconstruct the true history of the credit score, reveal how corporate debt buyers purchase your financial nightmares for pennies on the dollar, and expose the exact psychological scripts they use to terrorize you into submission. More importantly, I will show you how the true masters of the economic universe handle massive debt defaults without losing a single second of sleep. Stick with me until the very end, and I will give you a ruthless, step-by-step operational blueprint to permanently assassinate your financial shame, legally dismantle the collection agencies, and transition from a bleeding, terrified consumer into a sovereign architect of your own wealth. To understand the prison, you must first understand how the invisible bars were built. We need to travel back to 1989, the year the modern credit scoring system was introduced to the general public. Before this era, local bankers looked at your character, your business plan, and your physical assets to decide if you were worthy of a loan. But the massive global banking conglomerates realized that evaluating individual human beings was too slow and too expensive. They needed a standardized algorithmic meat grinder. They needed a mathematical formula to quickly categorize millions of working-class citizens and determine exactly how much interest they could extract from them before they went bankrupt. They introduced the 3-digit credit score. The media and the financial education system executed a brilliant marketing campaign. They convinced the public that achieving a score of 800 was the ultimate symbol of success. But you must look at the cold mathematics of the formula. Your credit score does not measure your net worth. It does not measure your cash flow. It does not measure the assets you own outright. Your credit score is nothing more than a corporate profitability index. It strictly measures how obedient you are at borrowing money and paying retail interest to a banking institution. If you inherit $10 million in physical gold tomorrow and never borrow a single dime from a bank, your credit score will drop to 0. The system does not care that you are rich. The system only cares that you are not generating revenue for them. The credit score is the leash, and the banks hold the collar. They give you points for good behavior, grooming you for decades so that when you finally reach a perfect score, you willingly sign a 30-year mortgage and an 84-month auto loan, trading your future human energy for depreciating physical liabilities. But the true nightmare begins when the fragile middle class illusion shatters. Imagine you lose your corporate job, or you suffer a massive medical emergency. The savings run dry, and you miss a credit card payment. The original bank sends polite letters, then slightly firmer warnings. The late fees accumulate, transforming a manageable balance into an insurmountable mountain of phantom interest. After exactly 180 days of non-payment, a critical accounting maneuver takes place deep within the banking headquarters. The bank executes a charge off. They officially declare your debt a loss, which allows them to claim a massive tax deduction with the federal government. The original bank has mitigated their risk, taken their tax break, and washed their hands of your existence. But your nightmare is not over. It is just being transferred to the shadow realm. The bank gathers your charged-off account, bundles it together with 50,000 other defaulted accounts, and sells the entire massive portfolio in a blind auction to a third-party debt buyer. This is where the mathematical reality becomes sickening. The aggressive mercenary agency that buys your debt does not pay the original balance. If you owed the original bank exactly $5,000, the debt buyer acquires the legal right to collect that money for an average of 4 cents on the dollar. They literally pay $200 to purchase your $5,000 nightmare. They buy these accounts in massive digital spreadsheets, often missing the original signed contracts, missing the detailed accounting ledgers, and missing the actual legal proof of the debt. They do not care. They are playing a high-volume game of psychological warfare because their acquisition cost is microscopic. Their profit margins are astronomical. If they can scare you into paying just $1,000 to settle the $5,000 debt, they have quadrupled their initial investment. Therefore, they do not operate like logical financial advisors. They operate like a cartel of emotional terrorists. The person calling your phone from a crowded, noisy call center does not know you. They do not care about your medical emergency. They are a minimum wage employee reading from a highly optimized, legally borderline script designed by behavioral psychologists to trigger your fight or flight response. The collection industry weaponizes the societal concept of moral shame. They know that middle-class citizens pride themselves on being honest, hardworking people who pay what they owe. The collector uses this noble trait against you. When you answer the phone, they use an authoritative, deeply aggressive tone. They imply impending doom. They use terrifying buzzwords like litigation, wage garnishment, and asset seizure. They threaten to call your human resources department at your place of employment, deliberately attempting to jeopardize your professional reputation. They threaten to call your relatives and your neighbors. They want you to feel so isolated, so humiliated, and so terrified of public exposure that you will literally drain the money you need to feed your children just to make the ringing stop. They manufacture a state of perpetual panic, knowing that a terrified human being cannot make rational mathematical decisions. To break the spell of this psychological terrorism, you must observe how the untouchable elite interact with the concept of massive debt. The masters of the economic universe operate in a completely different reality. When a billionaire real estate mogul borrows $100 million to construct a luxury hotel, and a global pandemic wipes out the tourism industry, the hotel goes bankrupt. The billionaire does not lock himself in his bedroom, crying over the moral implications of failing to repay the bank. He does not suffer from insomnia, worrying about his credit score. He treats the situation with the cold, detached logic of a surgeon. The elite understand that a commercial loan is not a blood oath. It is a calculated business transaction. The bank took a mathematical risk to earn interest, and the risk did not pay off. The billionaire simply deploys his legal team to restructure the debt, or He forces the holding company into a Chapter 11 reorganization. Because the elite structure their empires using impenetrable corporate shields, limited liability companies, and complex trusts, the $100 million loss stays trapped inside the dead corporate shell. The bank takes the loss, while the billionaire retreats to his private estate, his personal wealth completely untouched, preparing for his next massive acquisition. The elite view debt as a tool of leverage and default as a standard operational hazard. They experience zero shame. Yet the system has conditioned the working class to feel suicidal over a delinquent $2,000 credit card bill. If the words you are hearing right now are causing a physical reaction in your chest, if you feel the heavy, suffocating weight of financial shame beginning to crack and crumble around you, you are experiencing the first painful moments of true awakening. You are stepping out of the matrix of middle-class morality and seeing the global financial system for what it truly is, a rigged casino, designed to extract your energy through fear. But understanding the trap is only the first step. You must now take aggressive, tactical action to dismantle the power these institutions hold over your life. Grab a heavy pen and a blank piece of paper. Turn off all distractions. I'm going to give you the precise operational rules to permanently neutralize the debt collection industry and transition into the mindset of a sovereign producer. Rule number 1. You must surgically sever your moral identity from your financial balance sheet. You must permanently unlearn the toxic lie that your worth as a human being is tied to your ability to pay retail banking interest. If you experience a massive financial catastrophe and cannot pay a consumer debt, you must forgive yourself immediately. You must view the default not as a personal failure, but as a strategic corporate restructuring of your household economy. When the collection agency calls, you must strip the emotion from your voice. You do not explain your hardships. You do not offer apologies. You do not beg for mercy. You interact with them with the chilling robotic detachment of a corporate attorney. You must realize that the person on the other end of the line is a mercenary trying to trick you into resetting the statute of limitations. Your silence, your coldness, and your refusal to engage emotionally is your first line of impenetrable defense. Rule number 2. You must weaponize the legal system against the debt buyers through the aggressive use of physical validation. The greatest weakness of the secondary debt market is their sloppy paperwork. When they buy thousands of accounts for pennies on the dollar, they rarely receive the original wet ink signatures or the itemized transaction histories. They rely entirely on your ignorance and your fear to collect. You must stop blindly paying invisible balances. The moment a collection agency contacts you, you must send a formal physical letter through certified mail demanding absolute legal validation of the debt. You demand to see the original signed contract. You demand to see the unbroken chain of custody showing exactly how they acquired the account. You demand a complete accounting ledger of every single fee and interest charge added to the balance. In a massive percentage of cases, the debt buyer simply cannot produce this documentation. It costs them more money to find the paperwork than the debt is actually worth. By federal law, if they cannot physically validate the debt with original documents, they must cease all collection activity and remove the derogatory mark from your credit report. You defeat their psychological terrorism with cold, bureaucratic, mathematical friction. Rule number 3. You must transcend the need for the consumer credit system entirely by focusing all of your human energy on the aggressive generation of liquid cash flow. The only reason the middle class is terrified of a bad credit score is because they rely on bank permission to survive. They need a bank to approve their car. They need a bank to approve their housing. They need a bank to fund their emergencies. The sovereign architect completely bypasses this prison by building massive, scalable systems of private income. When you acquire high-income digital skills, build cash-flowing online properties, or create a business that generates daily revenue, the three-digit number assigned to you by a credit bureau becomes completely irrelevant. Commercial real estate investors and private equity lenders do not care about your consumer credit score. They only care about the net operating income of the asset you are purchasing. You must shift your entire paradigm from borrowing consumer debt to acquiring, producing assets. When your bank account is flooded with physical liquidity, you become entirely immune to the threats of the traditional financial system. You become your own central bank. Let us summarize this brutal reality before you go out and change the trajectory of your bloodline today. The societal obsession with maintaining a perfect credit score and the debilitating moral shame associated with debt default are carefully constructed psychological prisons. They are designed to ensure that you spend the best years of your life acting as a reliable, obedient revenue stream for massive financial conglomerates. Allowing a minimum wage mercenary in a call center to terrorize your family over a debt they bought for 4 cents on the dollar is the ultimate tragedy of the uneducated consumer. The only way to win this rigged game is to refuse to play by their rules. You must kill the shame, weaponize the law against the debt buyers, and build a fortress of private cash flow that makes the traditional banking system completely obsolete in your life. You must stop begging the matrix for permission to live and start building an empire that the matrix cannot touch. If this deeply unfiltered, reality-shattering transmission just ripped the blindfold off your eyes, if you finally understand exactly why the elite operate without fear, while the middle class drowns in shame, you need to violently destroy the like button and subscribe to this channel right now. We are building an army of sovereign producers, and you cannot afford to miss the highly advanced, unapologetic financial strategies we are unleashing next. And speaking of massive, inescapable traps designed to enslave you before you even understand how money works, you absolutely must watch the next highly structured video right here on the screen. In it, I ruthlessly expose the darkest secret of the modern university system. I will show you exactly how higher education transformed into a predatory real estate hedge fund, convincing 18-year-old kids to sign away their future for non-dischargeable student loan debt that cannot even be erased in bankruptcy. It is the most brilliant, evil financial trap ever designed. Click that video right now. Your future, untethered, mathematically free self is waiting for you. We'll see you over there on the other side.